Buenos días, respetada teleaudiencia. Hoy comenzamos con la Secretaría de Educación, nuestro programa de English Week, donde tendremos las conferencias de nuestros colegas. Uno de ellos desde Canadá, Charlene McPherson. Los demás desde Soacha y nuestro primer invitado será desde Bogotá. La agenda para el día de hoy es la siguiente. En primer lugar, apertura a cargo de la directora de calidad educativa de la Secretaría de Educación de Soacha, la licenciada Sandra Liliana Trilleras y Fuentes. Posteriormente, la intervención a cargo de la coordinadora pedagógica del Centro de Idiomas del Colegio CEGEP de Jonquière, Canadá, Charlene McPherson. En tercer lugar, la conferencia Aprendizaje Integrado de Contenidos y Lenguas Extranjeras, a cargo de nuestro amigo Mario Duque Gaitán. Posteriormente tendremos una experiencia educativa a cargo de colegas del Colegio Santa Ana. A las 11:20 tendremos otra experiencia educativa con el Colegio Paz y Esperanza. A las 11:35, otra experiencia representativa con el Colegio Ciudad Latina. 11:50, una más, presentación del Colegio Julio César Turbay. A las 12:05 tendremos la experiencia significativa del Colegio General Santander. Posteriormente, a las 12:20, la conferencia Inglés para la Vida a cargo de los colegas de UNAT. Y a la 1 de la tarde tendremos el cierre por el día de hoy de nuestra emisión. Entonces, vamos a darle la bienvenida en el primer punto del día a nuestra directora, la licenciada Sandra Liliana. Buenos días, apreciada licenciada.
León, muchísimas gracias por esta apertura que haces al espacio. De igual manera, quiero darles la bienvenida en este momento a todas las personas que se han conectado con este espacio tan importante. Nuestro primer encuentro en torno al English Week. Extiendo el saludo por parte del señor alcalde, el doctor Juan Carlos Saldarriaga Gaviria. De igual manera, por parte de la doctora Gloria Álvarez Tovar, secretaria de Educación. Bueno, es importante que todos estemos en contexto de todo el trabajo que han hecho nuestros líderes en la administración por fortalecer todos los temas relacionados con el aprendizaje de la lengua extranjera. ¿Cómo fortalecemos no solamente a nuestros estudiantes, sino también a los docentes? ¿Cómo generamos estrategias y alternativas que a todos nos estén convocando a no solamente a fortalecer las habilidades comunicativas, sino a poder hacerle frente a un mundo globalizado que tiene diferentes espacios y que nos implica poder desarrollar estas competencias tan importantes para poder salir a flote al mundo exterior? Pues bien, el programa de hoy, como bien nos lo adelantó León, está muy nutrido. Tenemos la participación de los coordinadores del programa de Learning English with Canada, la coordinadora de este programa, Charlene McPherson, y sabemos nosotros que este proyecto, que busca no solamente la formación de docentes, sino también toda esta actualización en temas de didáctica, han sido muy importantes para las instituciones que están conectadas con este programa. La idea es poder fortalecerlos, pero que también ellos, dentro de su aplicación diaria al aula de clase, puedan replicar todos los aprendizajes que se adquieren en el día a día. De igual manera, estamos también y contaremos también con la presencia de la UNAT, con el programa Inglés para la Vida. Recordemos un poco que ese programa nos indica cómo los estudiantes de la media van perfeccionando sus niveles de inglés para así luego poder lograr una vinculación en el espacio laboral con la empresa Accedo, quien tiene posibilidades de vincularlos en los temas de call center. Entonces eso se vuelve una estrategia importante para nuestros estudiantes de la media. Asimismo, contaremos también con la participación de docentes, y es que sabemos que al interior de las instituciones educativas se han venido desarrollando propuestas, alternativas, estrategias, actividades y proyectos que nos motivan y motivan a nuestros estudiantes a desarrollar toda esta cultura bilingüe que está enmarcada en nuestro plan Soacha bilingüe. Entonces, eso el día de hoy también estaremos acompañados por expertos, como les decía, se encuentra con nosotros Charlene, se encuentra con nosotros el profesor Mario Duque, quienes desde unas ópticas diferentes vienen a nutrir este espacio, vienen a acompañarnos en este primer espacio que se hace dedicado a los docentes de la lengua extranjera, a cómo vamos como municipio fortaleciendo nuestras competencias y toda nuestra cultura bilingüe. Realmente este es un saludo caluroso que busca darles la bienvenida a este nuestro primer espacio, pero no el único y no el último. Y es a invitarlos también a que hagan parte de las diferentes actividades que están programadas en el marco de nuestra English Week. Entonces, allí tendremos varias actividades que se desarrollan a nivel institucional, actividades del aula de clase, pero también actividades generales. El próximo miércoles estaremos todos en el English Song Fest, en donde nuestros estudiantes van a darnos una muestra artística, pero también cómo han evolucionado todas estas competencias en la lengua extranjera. Allí contaremos con un espacio importante para todos, cada uno de estos estudiantes, pero también la dinámica de los docentes que han ido fortaleciendo estas estrategias al interior de las instituciones educativas. Contamos también esta semana con los espacios en el Teatro Suba, en donde se estará realizando la proyección de diferentes películas en inglés, con subtítulos también en inglés. Así que los invitamos a que si pueden acompañarnos en estos espacios, pues se harán en la mañana y esperamos que todos los disfruten. Ahora no me queda sino invitarlos a disfrutar de esta primera semana en torno al inglés. Bienvenidos entonces todos a nuestro English Week y al programa que tenemos el día de hoy. Muchas gracias, León.
Thank you so much, dear director. Okay, we are going to try to do this both in English and Spanish.
That's perfect.
Okay, good for everybody. And now in second place, we are going to have a very good friend of us. She's Charlene McPherson from Canada. You've always heard about her in the last couple of years. Now she's here with us with something that it's going to be of a big interest for all teachers in Soacha. Charlene, welcome to our country.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased to be here this morning. Coming from Bogota, we're very, very impressed with the city. And I really hope that this week we'll be able to get a better understanding of what you need and how we can do what we can to help you. One of the things that I realized when this project was first presented to me in 2 years ago, the thing I realized that we would need the most would be to have some of the best teachers possible, to be able to help other teachers learn to speak English as their second language and to be able to continue and transmit that information to their students in the classroom, to develop pedagogical tools that would make people interested and anxious and happy to learn to speak English. So my first step in this project was to find the best teaching team I could find. And I was lucky, and I did. And we were very fortunate to have wonderful teachers in Canada who were so enthusiastic in the project. And the other part that was extremely wonderful for us was the quality of our students. So we had quality teachers with quality students, and it was a project that fed itself. The teachers were so enthusiastic with the students because the students were so enthusiastic in learning English. So I just see that this program and this teaching experience for both teachers and students alike has been beneficial. In the beginning, we started off with approximately 30 groups. Now we are fortunate to say we have 36 groups. It keeps growing. We are expanding and going into different aspects. And the platform of sharing has been absolutely wonderful. And if just a few statistics that I discovered was that English is a second language in 55 different countries across the world. So when you speak English as a second language, your borders are so open. You're able to go so far. I'm very fortunate. I speak 2 languages. English is my first language, and French is my second. I learned French when I moved to my French community. I did not speak my second language. I didn't understand it, but I was immersed in a community where everybody spoke that language. So I understand the perspective of people learning a second language. I understand the difficulties. I understand how it's uncomfortable and we're outside our comfort zones. And I think this is an important quality in teachers. When they understand those difficulties of learning a second language, they're able to really have a benefit with the students and show students that it can be done. And I think that this past 2 years, we are showing that we are able to do this. And I really hope that in the future, we will be able to continue and to move forward and actually have a very positive impact on what we are doing with our relationships here in Colombia. It's absolutely wonderful. We are so impressed with the city. I don't feel like I'm in a city of 7 million people, and the people are so warm and friendly. I'm really looking forward to seeing the schools and discussing with the teachers and your point of view and what your needs are and how we can develop those needs, how we can help. That's what we're here for. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. The other aspect is I have my colleague Sylvia with me this week. Sylvia is from Mexico. She speaks Spanish and she also speaks English. One of the common things is that we have English in common. She doesn't speak French. I do. I don't speak Spanish, but we do speak English. I traveled here to Colombia yesterday with 2 other colleagues from the Cégep de Jonquière, and they both speak French and Spanish and English. So our common language between the 4 of us as we traveled to Colombia yesterday was English. When I came through the airport yesterday morning, we were greeted and people talked to us in English. They made an effort when they realized that I had difficulties. So they made an effort and it was so interesting and so wonderful to see. I think that learning English opens doors. And according to statistics, 55 countries, it's their second language. And if you look at the first language speakers, it's the 3rd in the world. The first language of many speakers is Mandarin. The second is Spanish. And the 3rd is English as first language. So English as a second language is a definite asset in all aspects, whether it be social, entertainment, travel, work, expanding your borders, your business. It's just a good base to continue moving forward. So I really do hope that this week we will be able to develop more ideas and concepts and build this toolbox that I envision of pedagogical activities for teachers to be able to go out and say, okay, I need this. This is what I'm going to do in my classroom. We're learning this language to communicate. We're learning this language to be able to talk to other people. We need to develop skills in grammar and different skills, but the whole purpose of this is to learn to communicate and to just share ideas and to share our thoughts on what we feel. And we're very open to that. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from the different teachers and how we can make things better. We're always open for improvement. I think that we're constantly learning. You're always learning your second language. You're always learning your second language. So we're always open to ideas and moving forward and finding ways to make people interested and get the kids involved, because once children are interested in the language, and it's not just learning a word, they're learning how to interact with it. They're learning how to communicate with their friends with it. And using it in that sense makes it fun. It's really important that when you're learning your second language, that it's fun. You'll remember it more, and it's easier to speak. And when we're stepping outside our comfort zones, learning a second language, we're always a little afraid of making a mistake. We're always afraid of taking that risk, but it's really important to do it, because I always say to a lot of my students when I'm teaching English, you're so much younger in your second language. You may be 30 in your first language, but in your second language, maybe you're 12. So with that said, I always tell people, age is not important, because in your second language, you should always start from the same place as everybody, at 0. We all start from 0. So we're moving slowly and slowly towards a goal. So with that said, I am passionate about learning a second language. I'm passionate about teaching English. English grammar is something I know well. I've developed strategies in my own teaching career of how to present English grammar to students who have difficulty, and how to help them find a way. I found a way to learn French that suited me. I had to find a way that suited me, because not everybody learns in the same way. So it's really important to find a way that works. It doesn't have to be the way it is. It has to be the way it works for you. For me, I found different activities I could do outside of learning from a book. I joined a choir. I joined a painting class. I did all kinds of different little activities that I was interested in, but in my second language. So I developed a vocabulary that was not necessarily something I would find in a book. I developed a vocabulary of things I was interested in, and I had social interactions with these people. And I didn't know everything, but I learned. So it's important that when you're learning a certain second language, that you're developing it through your own sense of how you want to use it. It's not just about learning the grammar rules and being able to be 100% perfect in grammar. It's important to know that, but the goal is to be able to communicate, to express your ideas, to express your feelings through your second language. So, as I said, it's important to find a way of doing this that fits you. Again, in a classroom, it's not always easy when you have a large class of 30 to 50 students. How do you find that middle? How do you find that middle ground to be able to get those students to interact? We have to use our imagination sometimes. We have to feel out our classroom and say, okay, I have this many people. How am I going to be able to get everyone interactive in getting them together? There are ways. It's possible. Again, for me as a second language speaker and learning a second language, I do understand the ups, the downs, the outside your zone, your comfort zone. All of those things are and today, example, I am outside my comfort zone. I am in Bogota. I am totally outside my comfort zone in my language, in my environment, but I'm here. I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to embrace it for everything that it's going to offer to me this week. And I really hope to be able to speak to some of the teachers and understand. And it doesn't all have to be good. If there's something that's not correct or something that's not right, there's a way of finding a solution to that. I'm all about moving forward and finding opportunities and solutions to help people move forward, to be able to access their second language, to be able to understand and learn it to an ability where they're feeling comfortable with it. And it's not without its struggles. We do have difficulty with it at times. And sometimes we hit that wall where we just don't know, we're speaking and everything we're saying is not correct. And that's a wall. And everybody who's learning their second language will hit that wall at some point. And at that point, usually you just have to kind of back away and say, okay, I just need to take a deep breath and then I'll go back at it again. And it's perseverance. It's discipline, consistency, perseverance, but it is very, very possible. It is so possible for people to be able to learn a second language. And English is one of the easiest languages, technically speaking. When you look at the technicality of the English language, it's very basic. It's probably why it's such a common language spoken around the world, because it is a language that is not too complicated in structure. With that said, it's probably one of the reasons it's one of the top second language spoken in the world. It's a common language. If we were to take 50 people from 50 different countries that spoke 50 different languages and put them in a room, I'm almost certain that at some point, the majority of those 50 people would start speaking in their second language, which would be English. And they would be able to communicate and they'd be able to get their point across. Maybe not in a 100% correct manner, but they would get their point across and be understood. So that's why I'm passionate about English as a second language. I've been teaching English in French Canada since 1991. I have been doing it for more than 30 years, and I hope to continue doing it. Again, it was such a pleasure to be here this morning and to speak to you, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you and having a moment where we can really connect and speak to each other directly. So thank you, Bogota. Thank you very much, Sandra, for inviting us here this morning, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Charlene. Okay. Thank you, Charlene, once again. Paraphrasing Charlene, there are two very important points to remember. First of all of us begin from zero, from the scratch. And the second one is perseverance, okay? It fits very well to our case. Okay, thank you, Charlene, once again. And don't forget that this program is being recorded, so you can get it whenever you want from the Secretaría de Educación. Okay, in second place, we are going to have our friend Mario Duque. Mario Duque is going to talk about CRIL. I've known him for a long time. He began studying business administration, and then he became a magister in organizations. He's got a long experience in English teaching in different universities in Bogotá. Universidad Colegio Mayor, Área Andina, Agustiniana. And now he's here with us. Mario, welcome once again. Nice to see you. The audience is all yours. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation. Leon has been my tutor as well. You forgot to have told that a particular thing. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much for uh, for allowing me to show you a little bit of my experience about the usage of the CLIL methodology. So I would like to give you the presentation. So if you help me out with showing up the presentation, I'll appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're going to start by trying to find out which is a CLIL, right? And to do that, we're going to start by asking some questions, right? So in today's webinar, this is sort of what we are going to face. So the first thing is to think about what CLIL is. The second thing is CLIL in the classroom, and we're going to analyze some of the CLIL tasks that we may find in the usage of this kind of methodology. And then we're going to talk about the benefits of CLIL, and I'm going to finish the presentation telling you a little bit what we have done to implement in the Universidad Colegio Mayor de Cundinamarca, what we have done so far to implement the bilingualism in the university. So next, please. Next slide, please. Well, we're going to start by saying what CLIL is, right? So I'm going to ask you some questions about that, just to find out how much knowledge do we have in this methodology. Okay, to do that, maybe you can give us some of the answers on the chat that is provided by the institution, so that we can interact a little bit. So the next, please, the first question. Content language integrated learning, then, which sentence best defines CLIL? Which sentence best defines CLIL? A, it is the subject matter which determines the language needed to learn. B, language is the most important factor and contents embedded around it. Or C, language is content and content have the same importance. So which do you think is the best answer? So some of the questions, maybe you can help me out. Somebody checking up the chat. So what do you think? Well, at this moment, I cannot see the answers, right? Because of the system is not showing me what the answers might be. So if you answer C, might be the right answer, right? Because language and content have the same importance. That's why we mentioned that content language integrated learning. That's what we do. That's what we are going to face when we go to a class that is planned with the CLIL methodology. Okay, next question, please. Next question, thank you. Well, here I have kind of some of the definitions with the European Commission and with David Marsh. I think it's better definition with David Marsh, but I'm going to read what the European Commission says. For example, content and language integrated learning is in which pupils learn a subject through the medium of a foreign language. Okay, so it is important to know that having the chance to talk about specific matters, specific subjects, it is important for this methodology. So to have, not only to have the knowledge of the language and the forms and the accuracy of what we say grammar in the grammar performance, but is to have the opportunity to make conversations with subjects like, for example, arts, mathematics, social studies, entrepreneurship. In my case, in the university, we teach classes in English. I teach, for example, marketing in English, so I can work with the students, even though that they have maybe because one of the questions we have is, okay, what do we need, to send our students to face these kind of subjects. For example, talking about marketing. In marketing, well, you have some sort of business vocabulary. So that's exactly what we do, right? We are going to face with the scaffolding. Scaffolding is to give the students the enough information that is required for them to get the knowledge, not only the grammar, not only the context itself, but also what it's needed to understand as a whole a lesson. So we need to prepare it, right? On the second part with David Marsh, he tells us that CLIL refers to situations where subjects and parts of subjects are taught through a foreign language with dual focus aims, namely the learning of content, for example, and the simultaneous learning of a foreign language, which I think is a little bit more accurate, this kind of definition, right? Because we're going to face both things. And even when people start asking, well, but what do we do? I mean, people, I refer to teachers. Teachers tells us, okay, but what do we do because the students don't have the level? Well, that's part of the planning of a lesson. We need to take care of what vocabulary might be needed, what kind of language you're going to use in the explanations, and carefully planning those things, then the students are going to scaffold the whole thing that they're going to need. Okay, so that's why I think that this definition comes to the truth, right? What we have and we have to face. Next slide, please. The third question is, which approach or approaches does CLIL draw on more? For example, A, lexical, B, communicative, C, humanistic, or D, content-based teaching. What do you think the answer might be for these multiple choice question? Well, but it's a multiple choice questions with several answers. So think for 30 seconds for giving me the answer. So what do you think? Okay, if your answer was only one or two, is all of the four answers are correct. Lexical, communicative, humanistic, content-based teaching. Those are the things that we need to get, or make our students to get, for them to have the possibility to communicate. In order to have that communication, then they're going to manage a little bit of the lexical things that we're going to cover in the lesson. And then we're going to have a humanistic approach as well, because we're going to talk about subjects and things that are important for the students, right? And the content, which is based on the syllabus of the syllabi that we are going to have in the different subjects, then that's exactly what we're going to cover, right? So that's why the four answers are correct. Next slide, please. Okie doke. So CLIL principles, right? So number one, what do you think we can complete these words? Language is used to blah blah blah, as well as C. I'm providing the first letter for you to answer. Okay, so if your answer was language is used to learn as well as communicate, right? We need to communicate and learn. That's what we use CLIL for. Number two, the S determines the language input. So what is needed to have a conversation in a class, in a normal class, for example. So the S refers to students. So the students determines the language input, which is one of the things we need to cover. 3, the focus is not only on language, not only on content, and is inter is the first letter, interlinked. So meaning that we're going to have language and content all together. Okay, all together. We're going to have to cover both of the things all together. Okie doke. Next slide. Now, which is seen as secondary? What do you think might be secondary in these two options? Accuracy or fluency? Okay, Mauricio Tapia says B. I'm checking out the answers. Wow, right. Cool. Somebody else has a different opinion? Any different opinions? Let me drink a little bit of water. Okie doke. So, meaning that accuracy probably is the way you manage grammar, right? So, having a communication or getting into a communication with somebody, it is not needed. It happens like in Colombia, right? In Colombia, we try to understand people, American people or foreign people with their poor Spanish. So we try to understand, we communicate with these people because they intend to do it with the poor language they have. So accuracy for CLIL is not important, okay? The fluency is what we might be more interested. So that B is correct. Okay, next, please. Next slide. So these are the CLIL principles, right? On the first thing, we have content, that is language, right? Having the content clear and very understandable on our side, getting to know perfectly what we're doing with the syllabus, for example, and that we can connect the syllabus with other subjects, meaning language, for example, the language classes, that we can interlink this language with the classes that we are teaching in different other subjects. We can come up with new ideas, with new approaches, with new exercises, with new classes, and that is mandatory for the students, right? Because the students are going to have the opportunity to learn more vocabulary, more actions, and to have more fluency in things that they might be more interested on. And fluency, which comes with the accuracy, then they are going to have this opportunity to get the communication. So basically. Now, next, please. So what are the 4 C's? What are the 4 C's which underpin the CLIL? Next slide, please. These are the 4 C's we have. Content and cognition, the first thing. Content, which is the subject matters that we have. Cognition, which is learning and thinking processes that we are going to think about these two parts. Then we have the language learning and processing that we are covering, right, with the CLIL methodology, and then developing intercultural understanding and global citizenship, because it is a way, that we can face, for example, different other actions like immersions. So we can go to practice to different places in Bogota, where you can find even places that English is spoken, right? So next slide, please. What have we seen up till now? First, this is something that is taught with the Cambridge University Press. The CLIL principles, right? That we need to take a look at those 4 principles we saw. We saw the definition of what CLIL was, and then the CLIL approach. What do we need? We need is fluency. We are not more interested in the accuracy, right? And the 4 C's of the CLIL, right? The content, the accuracy, right? And the fluency and the opportunity to have this communication, the communication in the classes. Next, please. What language is needed? Well, we're going to face a class, for example. So what kind of questions do we ask, right? Because those are, we may find different ways to ask the same thing, right? And probably the construction, the context, and the construction of the language might be different, right? And of course, the level of the students, and of course, what we are teaching as a content, then we're going to face these 2 situations. In the studies seen, because I have taken a look of some research, and people, teachers especially, asking the teachers, okay, but what is the most difficult thing with CLIL? And the people says, okay, it's time consuming. It's time consuming for the teacher. Okay, like 75% of the people says that, right? That is time consuming because it is a way that you have to plan the lessons, and you have to plan the content, and you have to plan the language, and then you have to plan the whole thing, right? So when you put together all of those stuff, but when you start something simple, right? Like taking a look at a photograph, taking a look at, for example, in biology, we can think about ecology, right? And you can start asking questions to the students, eliciting the vocabulary that they might need, or the vocabulary they already have. That is something that we need to face in the classes, right? Because vocabulary, because of language, because of these grammar mistakes. But don't worry about that, because that comes with the time. That comes with the time, you know. Now, what kind of answers do we expect? Because probably people say they might make mistakes, right? They are going to make mistakes. Students are going to make mistakes. It's normal. It's to have an opportunity for improvement. So don't be afraid of those mistakes, because sometimes we as language teachers, we are more dedicated in concentrating our efforts on the students not to make mistakes. It doesn't matter. I mean, allow them to make mistakes, because that way you have a chance to teach them. You have a chance to an opportunity for them to learn, right? And the more they make mistakes, the more they are going to learn. That's basically the idea, right? So don't worry about it. Just embrace it, and you are going to give out the right answers the appropriate time. Well, another thing is to allow the students to think about the answers, the right answers, right? Is not to give them the answers immediately. You can ask another question for them to come up with the answer. It's not just giving them the answer all of a sudden or just immediately. No, I mean, allow them to think. For example, you say, okay, I don't know how do you say ¿cuál es tu nombre? And people may say, what are your name? No problem. I mean, you're just, okay, it's singular, it's plural, and then the students are going to come up with the answers with their own knowledge, but don't answer immediately, right? And the same is going to happen with countable uncountable nouns. Is going to happen with I don't know, the management of tenses, for example, right? They say something in future and it might be in past, or something in present, but it has to be in present continuous. So, I mean, it's just allow them to come up with the answer, because they already have a knowledge, and you can come up with the answers. Number 3 is how long do we give students before expecting an answer? Because that is another point, right? Because we want the students to come up with the answers like in the very first second, and it is not possible. I mean, allow them to think about the answers and give them a chance to communicate, which is in part what is needed at this point. Next slide, please. Next, maybe there is another one. Oh, I sent the wrong one. Okay, no problem. So I'm going to talk about, for example, the chance we have for allow me if I can't share it here at the very. Just give me 1 second, please. Oh, okay, I got it here. Okay, here, for example, this is. Are you watching my screen? I think you are, right? Let me give you, for example, this is kind of an analysis that we have to think in the management of our programs, right? Because we for example, this Bloom's taxonomy is going to help us evaluate what do we need, right? We need to, the very basic form of thinking is to remember, understand, that's right in the basis of the pyramid. Then we have understand, and then we have apply, and then analyze, and then evaluate, and then create. So these are higher order thinking skills, like creating, evaluating, and analyzing, right? And then, but we have the lower ones that we can get advantage of. For example, applying, understanding, and remembering. In this sort of thing, we have, for example, which questions require more wait time. For example, what other things could you use a tree for? This is one a deeper way of eliciting answers from our students. We can think about what is this, right? What is this? And then they can describe what is in a picture, right? We can think about, is the tree the best thing to use for what we use it for? Or for one, like, how do you use it? How do you use it? What do we use it for? And finally, what is the function of each part of a tree? And then we can start asking and answering those questions. Like, on the first thing is like trying to elicit the information, right? What the thing is, to get the information about the tree, what the uses of the tree might be, and so on and so forth. You can start thinking about applying both things, right? Like, probably in the first place, remember something, like remember the vocabulary that they might need. Then understanding, right? Because it is a biology class, and we can think about what what each part of a tree functions, or what are the functions of these parts of the tree, right? And then understanding by giving them the information and giving them what exactly that the content lesson might be, Okay, so here it is, right? Like number 1, I say 2, 3, 4, and we can start thinking about the times that students are going to give you the answers. Like probably the answers might come in 10 or 15 seconds, and some others might take 5 or 3 seconds to give you the answer. But that's kind of a reaction thing, because sometimes people, they just I don't know the language, I don't know the words, I don't know how to express it, and they say, okay, and they close down. So the idea is not for them to stop. The idea is to continue. The idea is to give them the opportunity to practice their language. Okay. Then we have this wait time, like learners give longer answers, more learners become involved when you give them the chance. Learners improve or add to what other learners say. More alternative explanations are given, and then less time of no response. We are going to encounter that less time might be there, because we're going to give them the chance. And this is a process. It's not that immediately you're going to find this like practical, like 100% practical, but okay, you're going to give your students some time. For example, like low and high level questioning, like, can you describe the picture? How do you think they are? What do they look like? Where are they? What are they doing? And then you start asking questions for them to give you the answers, with a simple question, with a simple photograph. The senses, for example, the senses are also important. Like, is it cold? Yeah, is it cold? And then people might say, okay, yes, winter. And then I don't know, you can come up with some other questions, and they can come up with some answers as well. Okay, so for example, like remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating with the Bloom's taxonomy, you can apply that to the syllabus, and you can think about what the results might be, the results of each one of your lessons, like listening and identifying, memorizing, describing, in understanding, for example, classifying species, for example, comparing. In my case, for example, understanding or classifying the products. When I talk about the different kinds of products or the level of a product. So you start thinking about the core of the product, what the core of the product is, what is the base product, what is the augmented product, and what is the prospect product that you may encounter in the definition and the description of a product, right? So you give them that vocabulary, you give them that situation in which they are going to, you give them the vocabulary and the way to produce the language, and then they're going to practice by giving you, for example, the definition of the levels of a product, right? And then you're going to analyze, like in the case of products, okay, what kinds of products are these? Give us what the core of the product might be. For example, in Coca-Cola, on a television set. Think about a computer. Think about HP. And there are more, examples that might be more complicated. But of course, you're going to scaffold the vocabulary, the language, and here it comes when you practice what you have learned in university. For example, the controlled activities. You think about a control activity, a semi-control activity, and then a freer activity, where students are going to, like being opened, they choose a product, and they are going to make a description of that product. Okie doke. And then examples in possible questions in HOTS, for example, why do you think there are lots of colorful buildings in this picture, right? Why do you think there are lots of colorful buildings? Is this like the place where you live? Why or why not? If you were a town planner, what would you change? What would you change? And then why? Okay. And then we have looks. For example, what landscape features can you see? What is the climate like? Which sea is in the background? So on and so forth. You can start asking and eliciting information from your students. The benefits of CLIL, then, we can think about: one is improves language competence and oral communication skills. With my experience, because as an English teacher that I have been for so many years, I've been a teacher for 30 years, and there was a time when I started thinking on not producing language with the construction of sentences, but the construction of language in context, right? So it is more important to do it this way because the students might freely use their own language. And if you do this in a class, in a particular class, in language class, you might see that students might find it more difficult, but it doesn't mean that it is impossible. You have to give baby steps. You have to give baby steps to go step by step, producing language in your students, but you can see the benefits in the future. So don't rush, just take it easy. Number two, provides authentic and motivating use of language. If you do this, you give the students an opportunity. You give the students an opportunity to use their own language, and of course, in the context that they are more interested. If they're interested in music, if they're interested in literature, I don't know, some other things, you might give them the opportunity to produce language with those interests. Three is promote cognitive flexibility, because it's not only to produce language in just common conversations. Common conversations is just the daily life, right? But if you give them the chance to produce language in other contexts, using different vocabulary and using a geography, using social studies, administration, I don't know, whatever subject might be, you can use it, and they have a more flexible cognitive way of doing this. Four, introduces a wider cultural context, of course, because you are going to have a chance to talk about different things, and give them different materials, like, for example, videos. You can give them the opportunity to see movies and start asking and answering questions about the movie, the cultural things. Now that we have Netflix, we can also use it, right? We can also use Netflix to see the different ways of life in different cultures, right? That's an idea. Five, prepares for future studies and working life, because in real life, it is not only to talk about the daily life, it's to talk about business, it's to talk about communication, it's to talk about I don't know, making negotiations. And that's is in a different level, right? I might even an experience that I had in a company, being the human resource director. I saw that, or I experienced better. I experienced that a couple of engineers in Colombia that in that time they took an interview with me, and I started asking questions about particular things of the job, and they were giving me very perfect English in the daily life things. But when they started talking about their own matter, their own profession, I could notice that they didn't have the level. So that's what we are not going to give. I mean, we with by using this clear methodology, we can give them the chance to improve this part of the working life. To have I was and the invitation is that, right? That because we have lots of opportunities in Colombia with the call centers. I was listening to the director, and she offered something related to that. So it is important to take a deep look at that opportunity to improve. Then six, increases motivation and confidence in the language and subject, because if you have lexical abilities, if you have different abilities to, I mean, if you have the vocabulary to express and explain things, then you're going to show that you're capable of doing whatever subject or whatever activity might be. You are going to have the ability to do it. And finally, some of the experiences that we have had in the university, Colegio Mayor de Cundinamarca. For example, we have taken a deep look at the syllabus of the language levels that we teach there. And we put together with the different subjects because, I mean, we could notice that even the books that are written for the language teaching, we could manage to take a look at each one of the units, and we connected them, for the production of language in the language classes. And we, in the syllabus, for example, we also say the teachers to teach 2 or 3 classes in English. uh, I mean, for the students to give to have the chance to practice their language in their own subjects, right? The second thing that we have done is that we have applied subjects in English. So we have 3 subjects that are taught in English. One of them is marketing. Another thing that we have used is immersion. We have experienced full immersions, like going to, for example, Melgar, Girardot, some other places, with a group of students, right, that might be interested in improving their language. And we had full immersion, where in that place nobody speaks Spanish. Nobody at all. Not even the waiters or the waitresses, the cook. Nobody. Everybody was hired. Every single one was hired for that situation, for them to speak English and to interact with the students. It was a brilliant, it was wonderful, it was awesome, because I mean, I could see the improvement of many of the students, that they have a very low level, but by having this immersion activity, it was wonderful. They could get more vocabulary, they could get more fluency, and they had the chance to interact with the peers. And it was magnificent. It was something that I really enjoyed a lot. Here is a mistake. Is touristic activities that we have done it in Bogota, for example, with visiting different areas in Bogota, because we have history, even you believe it or not, but we have places where we that tell us stories. So that history that is behind the buildings, and that we can speak about, we can prepare it, we can use the language, we can know the past, we can see what the changes in the city we have experienced, etc., etc. I mean, that there have been lots of opportunities when we go in a touristic activity, right? And as I said, the classes taught in English. Classes taught in English in full immersion in the university and in the different programs. Well, I expect that this might have been of a good experience for you, and that you have enjoyed it a lot. If you have any questions, well, this is the moment.
Mario, thank you so much. A
Now, it's
big,
always
big
a pleasure.
hug from all people from Soacha. This is your house. We know that you'll always be with us. It's been a very good presentation, and we appreciate what you do for us. Thank you so much, and hope to see you later on. Bye-bye, my friend.
Goodbye, Leo. Thank you so much for the invitation, and well, big time hug for everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mario. Okay, continuing with our presentation, now we have our leader, Mauricio Tapias Cadena. Mauricio comes from... Mauricio comes from Institución Educativa Santa Ana, and he's going to give us a life experience The name of this experience is Encourage Communication Interaction by Using Task-Based Learning. Mauricio is graduate in Applied Linguistics and Magister in Education with emphasis in English teaching. Is Mauricio ready with us, please?
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am here. I'm ready.
Okay, Mauricio, big hug for you. Welcome, Mauricio.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share my screen. So good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure and pleased to be here to share my teaching experience with you. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to explain from this part. Let me show you. Okay, can you see my screen? Teachers, can you see my screen? I don't know if you are watching this. Okay, may I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I am Mauricio Tapias. I am an English teacher. I work at Santa Ana School. I am working with 10th graders and 11th graders. And today, I'm going to talk about my teaching experience that is titled Encourage Communicative Interaction by Applying Task-Based Learning. So, this experience, or I consider to use this or to share this experience, having in mind task-based learning, just because the benefits that this methodology implies, as Charlene says at the beginning of this conference. So it is important to give the students the opportunity to communicate and to generate those ideas in our students, to facilitate learning and to share that to share this kind of methodologies in which students have the opportunity to interact to each other. So let's start. I'm going to talk about the following points. The first one is just say the problem. I find a problem, so I'm going to describe it. I will talk about the strategy description of this strategy. Also explain the general and specific objectives, the methodology that was used, and I will show you some evidence. That's probably I'm going to have some problems with sound, but anyway. And I also am going to show some sequences of the implementation that I use, and finally, I'm going to share some conclusions and pedagogical implications. So, the statement of the problem. To use, as you know, as teachers in the context that we work, the context that we teach, it is possible to see that although our students, they are eager to participate, they are motivated, they feel they feel a desire to communicate, but sometimes we as teacher don't provide enough enough activities in which they can express or share these kind of ideas. So as teacher, I register many problems that I notice in my classes, like the low learners' interest in class activities. So it was possible to notice this because some students they were not motivated to work in class, and also it was possible to notice poor class interaction. So the students they used to work on decontextualized language class activities. So that's very important to keep in our mind because in many situations the activities that we as teacher, in this case I as teacher, I don't most activities do not reflect the students' real needs or interests. That's probably where the activities were disconnected to their needs, to their real life and necessities. And also, we as teachers sometimes give the students a list of words that they need to memorize in order to be evaluated. So those are the problems that I notice in my teaching practice. And also, we as teachers also provide students with worksheets in which they have to complete boring grammar exercises. So as we notice, we have a problem in which the students they don't have the opportunity to use language to communicate, to share ideas and feelings and opinions. So, and I say to think about my teaching practice and have in mind the course development that I took with Jeff. I decided to implement task-based learning. The strategy description. Okay, I am not going to explain or not going to talk or give a conference about tax-based learning, but I'm going to explain how I employ this strategy. First, it is important to discuss with our students the content because sometimes we as teacher uh, give or provide or deliver students with the content that they are going to learn across the year. But sometimes it's important to listen what they need to learn, to listen our students, to give the students the opportunity to listen their voices. Having in mind that I reformulate my language objectives in class because sometimes the objectives that we as teachers state, in this case in my class, I state grammar objectives, and sometimes it doesn't work, and it is not good for communication. Then I designed didactic material based on task-based approach. As I said, I decided to use this approach because one of the main principles of text-based learning is to focus on meaning. And one of the presenters told at the beginning, the idea is to give the
Mauricio,
students. Yes,
Mauricio, ¿me escuchas?
yes.
Mauricio, discúlpame. Excuse me, Maurice, it seems that the slide is frozen. Okay, good. Because the presentation was frozen in the first slide. Thank you so much.
Okay, now it's in the second one.
Yes, please go on.
Okay, I'm going to continue with this. So I explained the agenda, the topics. Then I'm going to move to a statement of the problem that I was talking about. So, and I was talking about the strategy description that I use. As I said, it is important to listen our students because sometimes we are disconnected from our students' reality because sometimes they need something different, something that they are living, that they are facing in their context. Uh, Bearing in mind that I decided to design some material based on task-based approach. So this task-based approach, it was important for me because I reformulate those objectives having in mind that one of the main points of the task-based is to focus on meaning, to give the students the opportunity to solve a specific problem, to reach an outcome. And this kind of approach let the students the opportunity to interact with each other. That was most important for me, and also because the language that they need to use, it doesn't need to be the use of grammar, but also the language, whatever language they need to use to communicate whatever idea they have in mind. Okay, so the title of this pedagogical intervention was encourage communicative interaction by applying task-based learning. And the general objective was to describe what is informed about the use of task-based learning based on students' interests. As I said at the beginning, it's important to listen to our students' needs and see what is the context and what is the background of our students. As a specific objective, I state following: to foster students' communications in EFL classes by implementing a task-based approach. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the methodology. I did it briefly. The methodology follow the following phases. Okay, but first I have to say that considering these pedagogical interventions that seeks to comprehend just to comprehend to what extent a group of 10th graders are influenced by task-based learning to foster communication in class, I adopted the qualitative research. And so what I decided to use qualitative research, since this methodology provides a methodological approach for understanding the students' activities in the real context. So I decided to use the qualitative research because it implies to see the students, how they work, how they act in the real context, and to notice what it was happening in my classes, and to see and to reach some conclusions at the end. So in the first phase, I carry out a careful observation on my students' interactions. So, and it was possible to see that they had problems to communicate, to using foreign language to express ideas. And it has, as I said at the beginning, it implies by many factors like the use of the fear, the anxious to communicate. That was one of the problems that they have. Sometimes they don't feel confident using English to communicate. Second, using this methodology, I ratify an existing language issue because, as I said, it was possible to notice that the students had this problem when they wanted to communicate any kind of idea or thought. Then I state a research question that I explained at the beginning: to what extent the use of text-based learning motivate my students to communicate and how it works with them. Then I apply the pedagogical intervention, and I say this pedagogical intervention was based on the task-based learning, because I said that task-based give the students the opportunity to use language to reach a specific outcome and to talk and work about something that they really need, not only grammar aspects of language. And finally, I organize and analyze the data. This was the methodology that I employed to carry out this pedagogical intervention. Okay, and I have the implementation sequence. It is important to keep in mind that task-based learning, a lesson using task-based learning implies 3 different moments: the pre-task, during task, and finally the task itself. So in the pre-task, it is important because we prepare the students for the final task. It's like the framing. And during tasks, it establishes a connection between the teacher and the students. And the teacher works as a facilitator. In that way, I help my students to move forward to language. And finally, obviously, in the final phase, in which they present the final outcome, they achieve an outcome, and they share and they socialize this part. So having in mind that those different moments in the task-based learning, I follow I use the following sequence. First, I reformulate goals and objectives towards students' real life. So I keep in my mind that we need to change this part of teaching language, not only focus on grammar, but also focus on what our students need. And second, implement language activities that reflect those learners' needs. So not only it's about working on vocabulary, but also obviously it's important that to talk about the what the students need. Third, I provide learners with the opportunities to figure out problems. That's something quite important because in this part, students work in groups in a collaborative manner to figure out the problem, to find the solution to any problem that we work. And as I said at the beginning, one of the problems, for example, was to create a healthy recipe, and I state a lesson plan working on that experience and how to take advantage of their time. And then I'm going to share with you some of these experiences. And finally, in the last part is the socializing, socializing the final outcome, as I said at the beginning. So I'm going to show you now the following experience. I don't know if it is possible to hear. Okay, let me see. Okay, in this part of the video, students they are talking about how they spend their time, how to use and take advantage of the time, because one of the problems that we have in our schools is that students waste their time, and as we know as teachers, they do the homework or they don't have the activities on time. So we need to work on these kind of situations and how make our students conscious about the use of time. So for that reason, I consider this lesson, and we are watching in this moment how the students discuss about the different activities that they consider important and how to organize them. Let me see. Okay, that's one experience. Let me show you the following. As we see, students they are using English to communicate, to solve a problem, to figure out a task, and also to give the students or provide students with learning strategies. Because it's very important that they not only also to learn language to communicate, but give the students these kind of strategies to increase students' confidence to solve any kind of problem. As we see, they are organizing what are the most important activities that they consider, what do they do indoor and outdoors. And according to that, they are at the end of the class, at the end, it is supposed that the socialize with the rest using language, using English to express the outcome that they reach. Okay, now I'm going to share with you the conclusions and the pedagogical implications. As a conclusion, after conducting this pedagogical intervention, it was possible to see that the students' motivation and engagement increased as content was related to the real life experiences. As I said, it is important to consider what the students are facing or living. So, and sometimes we as teachers decontextualize the classes that we are dealing with. And second, students found the topics useful and relevant. That's very important because that's increased knowledge. When the students see that something that they are learning is important and is relevant in their life, that's probably it's going to stick to their to their knowledge. And finally, it was possible to reach the following conclusion: a student's confidence increased. That's probably something important for me, because as I said at the beginning of this presentation, one of the problems that we have as teachers is that our students, they feel anxious, they feel afraid to communicate, to use language to express any kind of ideas. So when I noticed that after using this methodology, this approach, a student's confidence increased. That's something important when using English to convey meaning, to express any kind of ideas. So that's or these are the results, these are the conclusions that I reached after the implementation, after the pedagogical implementation. So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions for me. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Muchísimas gracias, licenciado Mauricio. La verdad, la experiencia presentada fue una experiencia que se ha generado en la institución educativa Santa Ana. Muchísimas gracias, licenciado, por esta oportunidad de poder estar acá en este espacio. Damos paso entonces a la institución educativa Paz y Esperanza con nuestras licenciadas Aura Basto Albarracín y Mariluz Camargo. Bienvenidas.
Buenos días. Buenos días.
Buenos días. El público es todo suyo.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Buenos días, mi nombre es Mariluz Camargo Sepúlveda, soy licenciada en lenguas extranjeras, mi compañera Aura Basto Albarracín, licenciada en biología. Pertenecemos a la institución educativa Paz y Esperanza, nuestro rector el señor Ramiro Chávez. El título de nuestra propuesta es Integración de las Ciencias Naturales y el Bilingüismo a través de la experimentación. Bueno, el problema que quisimos abordar fue el bajo interés hacia los conceptos científicos y temas relacionados con la asignatura inglés. Lo que notamos que causa esta problemática es la poca motivación hacia las temáticas del plan de estudio, las prácticas descontextualizadas y sin relación entre áreas del conocimiento, el escaso vocabulario en inglés frente a la lectura de textos científicos, cierta resistencia por parte de los estudiantes a la innovación en las prácticas pedagógicas, falta de autonomía frente a los procesos de aprendizaje. ¿Estas causas generan estos efectos? Bueno, un bajo desempeño en las pruebas estandarizadas, en las pruebas saber. No hay construcción del conocimiento basado en las competencias propias de las ciencias naturales y las habilidades comunicativas en inglés. Además, se presentan limitaciones para acceder a fuentes de información científica, teniendo en cuenta que la mayoría de la información se encuentra en inglés. Bien, nos propusimos como objetivo general Integrar la biología y el inglés para generar aprendizajes significativos desde las dos asignaturas. Como objetivos específicos nos planteamos los siguientes. El primero, caracterizar a los estudiantes identificando las barreras que influían en el aprendizaje del inglés y las ciencias naturales. Como segundo, aplicar una estrategia pedagógica que integre las dos áreas a través de la experimentación. Y como tercer objetivo, analizar el impacto de la estrategia describiendo los aportes al aprendizaje de las ciencias naturales y el inglés.
El inglés es un idioma global. En Colombia aprender inglés se ha convertido en un reto para la educación y nosotros los docentes tenemos la misión de motivar a los estudiantes para que puedan aprender esta lengua extranjera, avancen en su conocimiento y participen en actividades científicas, desarrollar las habilidades para hablar espontáneamente y con precisión gramatical es uno de los indicadores de competencia. Entonces, pues la exposición al idioma inglés a través de la integración de saberes, como en este caso la biología, es una oportunidad que tienen los estudiantes para interactuar de manera significativa y poder construir su conocimiento en ambas asignaturas. Bueno, en cuanto a la metodología de nuestro proyecto, bajo un paradigma interpretativo, teniendo en cuenta un enfoque desde la investigación-acción, se hizo el diagnóstico de una situación problematizadora, se planteó un plan de acción, se llevó a cabo con el propósito de mejorar la práctica pedagógica. Como lo afirma Eliot en 1990, este tipo de investigación permite la reflexión sistemática de un proceso pedagógico con el objetivo de mejorar la práctica. Se organizó en forma de espiral, teniendo en cuenta los aportes de Colas Buendía 1994, que tiene que ver con la planeación curricular en cuanto a la investigación-acción. En cuanto a las metodologías que se utilizaron en nuestro proyecto, a partir de las metodologías activas, donde se enfoca en el estudiante, donde se pretende capacitarlo en competencias respectivas al área, en este caso biología e inglés, para que el estudiante construya de manera significativa sus saberes en las dos áreas. También utilizamos State-Based Learning Teaching, donde se motiva al estudiante para utilizar el lenguaje de una manera espontánea, donde lo que se pretende es que el estudiante valore y mejore en el proceso de comunicación, más que tener en cuenta solo el trabajo final del proyecto. Lo importante aquí es que el estudiante se comunique de una manera pues espontánea con sus compañeros. En cuanto a las etapas de la metodología, hicimos un diagnóstico en la primera etapa, en la segunda etapa una revisión documental y planificación, en la tercera etapa una experimentación-acción y en la cuarta reflexión y evaluación. Para el diagnóstico partimos de las pruebas evaluar para avanzar, para realizar ese diagnóstico. Bueno, en cuanto a inglés, la prueba evaluar para avanzar tiene 4 partes, donde se evalúan las competencias léxicas, la competencia pragmática, la competencia sociolingüística, y en la parte 4, que es la que tiene un valor más alto, es la competencia lectora. ¿Qué evidenciamos? Que en la parte 1 los estudiantes tuvieron un acierto del 40% en las preguntas, en la parte número 2 un acierto del 30%, en la parte 3 un acierto del 20% y en la parte 4, que se refiere a la comprensión lectora, competencia gramatical y uso del lenguaje, fue la que los estudiantes presentaron como mayor dificultad, con un 10% de acierto en las preguntas.
Bueno, en cuanto a ciencias, las competencias que se evalúan son el uso comprensivo del conocimiento. Vemos que tuvieron solo un 20% de aciertos. La indagación, un 40% de aciertos. Y la explicación de fenómenos naturales, un 40%. Estos fueron como un instrumento que utilizamos para el diagnóstico. También utilizamos la observación en el aula, en las clases, en los procesos. Bien, como parte de la metodología, la segunda parte, que es ya el diseño y la planeación, tenemos un ejemplo de las guías que ejecutamos, en la cual se construyeron con base en el aprendizaje significativo. Esta guía está en inglés. La docente de inglés reconocían el procedimiento, reconocían el objetivo de la práctica, y ya en la clase de biología se hacía la ejecución de la experimentación. Entonces, acá tenemos la primera parte de ese aprendizaje activo, en la cual se presenta la situación problema. Tenemos la segunda parte, que es motivar a los estudiantes para que realicen predicciones, hipótesis. En este caso, ¿qué factores afectarían la capacidad pulmonar? La parte experimental o práctica, en la cual los estudiantes ejecutaban su experimento y tomaban los datos. Esto también habían dos formas de tomar los datos para esta situación, la cual consistía en una aplicación en internet, que también estaba en inglés, y los chicos colocaban datos como edad, sexo, y ahí se obtenía la capacidad pulmonar. Otra parte de nuestras guías es el análisis de esos resultados. Como podemos observar, hay preguntas que implican la comprensión lectora. Una de las competencias que evalúa el IFEX en la parte de inglés es la capacidad de hacer inferencias. Entonces, estas preguntas están planteadas para que los estudiantes analicen y hagan inferencias. Finalmente, hay una parte que es extrapolación de resultados y conclusiones, la cual se hacían tanto en la clase de inglés como en la clase de español, de biología. Siempre se trató de dar retroalimentación del proceso. Entonces, ese es el ejemplo de la guía o de la instrucción en la que utilizamos el inglés como mecanismo de comunicación. Bien, vamos a presentar los resultados y las evidencias. En un primer momento, en estas fotos, observamos una de las prácticas que se diseñaron, que es la de evaluar la capacidad pulmonar. Entonces, en la clase de inglés, los estudiantes analizaron el objetivo y el procedimiento. Y ya en la clase de biología, realizaron o ejecutaron la práctica. Vamos a presentar un video que nos da evidencia de la comunicación que los niños presentaron al momento de dar cuenta de los resultados de la práctica.
The air that can easily develop when reaching north. Mental capacity. The maternal warfare that can be built in a maternal college. Some factors that can affect height, weight, sex, age, and activity level.
Examine the outside of the kidney, the greater renal arteries, and renal vein hole enter the kidney in the same area. If they are too present, the ureter can be identified by the longer amount of blood circulating that is usually attached to it.
Bien, entonces acá presentamos otras evidencias, otros resultados. En este caso, en la primera imagen vemos la comprobación del proceso de respiración en las levaduras. Y en estas dos imágenes se modeló el sistema respiratorio. Entonces los niños reconocen los conceptos, las partes involucradas en el proceso de la respiración humana, tanto en español como en inglés. Esta práctica, que es de transporte en las plantas, ellos le comentaban a la profe cómo lo habían solucionado, cómo habían realizado la práctica, los resultados que obtenían, y pues en biología también generaban las conclusiones de dicha práctica. En esta práctica, que ya fue más en el exterior, que es una práctica en la huerta, tiene varias etapas. Una primera etapa en la que los estudiantes reconocen el proceso de preparar el suelo, sembrar las semillas, y ya una fase de reconocimiento de esas plantas. Entonces fue significativo. ¿Por qué? Porque la profe en inglés, cuando va a hablar de vocabulario, les explica que onion, que celery, que potato, pero el poder reconocer la planta in situ, en el lugar, los motiva y le hace más significativo ese vocabulario. Queremos implementar como en una tercera fase, ya que los niños con los productos propongan una receta y nos la cuenten en inglés, ¿sí? Que nos cuenten cómo van a hacer esa receta y cómo van a utilizar esos productos que se están generando en la huerta. Esta práctica quisimos modelar el proceso de selección natural. A veces hablar de evolución a los estudiantes es un poco complejo, pero con esta práctica notamos que fue más significativa. Entonces, en inglés, con la profe interpretaron cuál era el objetivo, qué herramientas tenían que llevar, qué materiales, y en la clase de biología, pues hicieron predicciones, qué especie, como ellos simulaban una especie, qué especie podría sobrevivir más, qué ventajas tendría sobre otras, y ya en la parte práctica, pues ellos tenían que atrapar semillas con la herramienta que han llevado, que se les había asignado, y íbamos registrando los datos, los resultados de cuál era la herramienta más efectiva y qué pasaría en la naturaleza con las especies que tuvieran ciertas características. Entonces, con esa práctica se modeló el proceso o el concepto de selección natural.
Bueno, después de las prácticas experimentales que se realizaron en la clase de biología e inglés, los estudiantes tuvieron una mayor participación. Evidentemente los que antes no participaban, tenían actitudes pasivas frente a las clases, pues tuvieron una mayor motivación. Hubo una apropiación de los conceptos científicos, tanto en inglés como en español. Los aprendizajes fueron significativos porque el estudiante encontró una relación directa con las dos asignaturas. Se evidenció el interés, la motivación por parte de los estudiantes, pues frente a la construcción de saberes a través de la experimentación. Como proyección de nuestro proyecto, deseamos implementar la propuesta en otros grados de la institución, continuar con la construcción de la propuesta, integrando los planes de estudio de biología, de inglés y pues otras áreas del conocimiento que quieran vincularse. Realizar la retroalimentación de la propuesta junto con los estudiantes para evaluar también la pertinencia de la misma.
Bien, muchas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes. Qué bonita presentación. Esperemos que nuestros estudiantes y nuestros colegas estén interesados en llevar todo esto a la práctica. Muy amables por compartir. Un abrazo grande en representación de la Secretaría de Educación del municipio. Muy amables y esperamos contar con ustedes en una próxima oportunidad.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Que sí.
Felicidades. Okay, continuing with our program. Now we have the experience with the educative institution Ciudad Latina. And the name of the experience is Oberlin. Oberlin seems to be the name of a college in Ohio, USA. Our leaders are Sandy Andrea Chavez, graduate in Arts and Science and English, specialist in teaching management, and a master's degree in education leading, with certification in competency with that language, diplomas in virtual background and teaching strategies in the teaching of English as a foreign language, and many publications in different magazines. We also have Diego Rodriguez, specialist in teaching of Spanish as a foreign language, has got a master's degree in leading and direction in educative institutions. Please, my friends, go on.
Can you hear me?
Avanti, avanti.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for watching, and thanks a lot for inviting us to have to participate in this amazing experience, which we called at the beginning Oberlin La Unidad, or Ciudad Latina. We started a long time ago, like 2 years ago, we started the experience at the school Ciudad Latina. It was an experience that we called is a seat of students that can interact or have the time to participate with students from Oberlin School. So what is the project about? This is a project that connects the students from two schools in virtual environment towards cooperative learning. We connect two schools, in this case, Ciudad Latina, and now, from 2022, we are working from La Unidad as well. So the idea is to have some students that volunteer are participating in this experience with the students from Oberlin Magnet Middle Schools, which is a school that is located in Raleigh, in North Carolina. And they are called, or well, now like as trailblazers. Trailblazers Oberlin Middle School is the slogan that they use in order to have the representations in sport teams and in some other activities. Diego is the teacher that is in charge of these students in the class of running the class of Spanish over there, and myself running some experiences in English and Spanish here in order to have our students connected throughout the experience of practicing English in a real environment of English. We as teachers of English, we have to do our best. We can share the experience with our students and make them to speak in our classes, but we consider that there is no better way to learn an English more than having the opportunity to listen to native people. And in this case, they have the opportunity to listen to the students itself. I mean, the native students and their same ages and same grades. So yes, as I told you at the beginning, the project was born in Ciudad Latina with some students that are still attending to our classes, and they are still joining us in many of the virtual meetings that we have. But from 2022, we are working here from Soacha Avanza La Unidad, which is the school that we have been working with in 8th graders. But the idea is that to open the opportunity to many students in these meetings that we have on Wednesday and Thursday after school classes. Who is involved, as I told you before? So we have Oberlin Magnet Middle School and Colegio Ciudad Latina, now Soacha Avanza La Unidad. And teachers, parents, students are involved in this project. How does it work, or how we develop this experience? By taking some tasks. So we have 4 basic tasks in this project. The first one is called Conversation Club, and the second one is Flipgrid. The third one is Noticias Oberlin, and the fourth is Letters. Taking into account this task, we are developing different activities. In the Conversation Club, we have the Conversational Club practice the target language with the students on their own age. And they are working the skills of speaking and listening. And the second task, we have Flipgrid, which is an app. It's a very well-known app in which students can upload academic information or videos in only a academic community that can share things and give likes only for academic purposes. So what we do in Flipgrid is to share about interests, traditions, places, and things that the students feel proud of or they would like to talk or share with about. In this stage or this activity, we are working on the skills of speaking and listening as well. On the stage number 3, we have Noticias Oberlin. which is a school newspaper shared between schools across both countries. We do that weekly, and we work it from the class of Spanish. So we have it here in Spanish, and they are going to be the readers over there of our articles written in English. I will explain about this forward. And the stage number 2, or the task number 4, is letters. The physical letters that we share between students in both countries is in order to work the skill of reading and writing as well. So these are the basic tasks that we are having with them. And the conversational club, it takes 1 hour long. It's every week. We are sharing time. Students share about the topic for 30 seconds or 1 minute. And we work in a role play of questions and answers in the main room or breaking rooms after that. And then they get the feedback of one of us, or Diego or myself, in order to keep the connection with them. So for example, here in the picture, we have one of our students from Oberlin asking them questions, and they answer here without no correction. So we are not like breaking in their speech or their fluency. We just let them to talk like free, like it will happen in the real life. And then here we can see on the pictures, for example, how they are so attentive here, our students from La Unidad. They are so attentive, and they like to listen to them, and they just interact themselves. We are only guiding the process. It's not anything about interrupting it. That's...
My name is Sana. What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food?
Well, and the conversational club is going a little bit forward. Is going beyond, because this activity is being shared on Twitter, and they are connecting the classes in the schools, and they have a lot of likes. Now let me see that I have something open. And a lot of people is giving likes to this project there in the States, and is being well known in the community, in the academic community there, and they share a lot of this about Colombia, about their schools, about their style of life, and about their hobbies, and about their personal life. This is the way that we run the class, as you can see in this picture. So we share the virtual class, and they have they are participating one by one in each class. Then we have another experience here, for example, the educational.
Hola, me llamo.
It's right here, I think so. The wait is good. Okay.
Exchange culture, learn any language, and open your mind.
It's time to learn, it's time to grow, it's time to be better. Hola muchachos, buenas tardes, los quiero invitar a unirse al proyecto Oberlin Ciudad Latina. Es una oportunidad grandiosa para poder compartir con muchos de los estudiantes que se encuentran en nuestro colegio, para practicar español e inglés una vez a la semana, y con muchas ganas para aprender lenguaje, practicar lenguaje, pero también para aprender acerca de cultura. Tienen la oportunidad de conocer y hacer algunos de los amigos en una institución extranjera con hablantes nativos. Entonces, la invitación para que se unan al proyecto con todas las ganas.
We always invite our students to join us, and this is an invitation from the students, and inviting, and they send videos to each other to engage and encourage the participation of the meetings on Wednesdays. And the task number 3, which is Noticias sobre Berlin. Here we have the opportunity to share articles in newspapers in which they answer some questions and they share the information about our culture, Colombia, what things are really happening here. And we want to show another thing in order to change a little bit the mind of our country and the States, or maybe they have a lot of questions and they inquire a lot about things that they have heard, and they have the opportunity to clarify those questions through the newspaper. They share their interests, they practice the language, they are sharing their culture, and they are of course practicing the reading and writing skills. This is the way that we work on Noticias La Unidad, and they got a newspaper, Noticias sobre Berlin. This is a newspaper that we produce, and the outcomes comes every Friday. It's a weekly activity. How does it work? This experience of Noticias sobre Berlin or reading newspaper is an experience that that attach the process of writing by following the steps. And here we have the explanation of the steps that we are pretending them to do. It's not always writing for writing. They have to follow some steps like pre-writing. Then they have to write a draft. Then they start writing their articles, and then we send them to be checked by the teachers, and then they do it again, and then they got their final text. We go to the lab, and then we put it in our computers, and they get our articles, and we get them. So we can read, and we can they feel very, very happy with the experience, because they feel that somebody's reading what they write, not only the teacher, but in this case, our students from the States. This is the way that we take as soon as they got the final text. So they are taken to our lab. This is the English lab in La Unidad, and they are taken there, and they have to write the final essay or the final article in one slide, and then we send them over there, and we got the final output from the school, and then they send us both ways, virtual, digital, or physical as well. And the last task that we develop here with those students are the letters. So they use some ID cards, and they introduce each other. They send their information, basic information, and then they send us the same ID cards with some pictures and some basic information, just in order to have some friends. And they send each one the letters, and they feel that they have like a pen pal friend, one by one. That is in English as well. The newspaper is in Spanish, and the cards and the letters are the ID cards are in English. So the idea is that we are also working here with our social-emotional skills. They feel so happy, as you can see here. The guys, the students there, they are now wearing the Colombian T-shirts, which feels that they feel connected with our country. They are opening their minds in order to learn about some other cultures, some other styles of life. They are always asking about our lives. Why do we wear uniforms? Why we have to wake up so early to study, for example? Those are the funny questions and common questions that they set up in each class, and that makes the experience so funny, and of course didactic as well. Diego is the teacher that is a Colombian teacher that is here. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today, because actually he's having class now, but he came, he picked up, once he has his break, he came and he picked up the letters, the articles and information and all the feedback, and then he take it back to the States. I had the opportunity to go to the States as well 2 weeks ago, and I took them, like the letters that they write, and we try to make this connection so close for them. But as I told you before, it's only about guiding the process. It's not about forcing them. There is no anyone that is forcing here because of the grades or because it's something that they need in order to have a better score in our English class. It's something that they do because they really want to do it, because they join as volunteer, because many people from many schools and also from different grades can participate in. And that's the idea that we have in this project, to make something real, to learn from native people. And really? And Diego is here now. Diego? Diego, can you hear me? Yes? Yes? All right. So, yes, that's...
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
I can
sorry.
hear
I
you.
just want to briefly say that this project is very important to us here in Oberlin Middle School here in Raleigh, and we're just trying to connect those two classes in many of the tasks that my colleague was talking about. But we continue working together from the Oberlin side to the Soacha side to keep connecting these classes as much as possible.
Well, saying that, that's all by now. We have here our slogans from Soacha Avanza la Unidad right now. That is where we are taking more people, having more people currently working in or join us. And of course, everything that now you can, guys, those who are here in the meeting, please go and check on Twitter on this link, Prof. Rodriguez, Mr. Rodriguez call, which we can see the amazing results. I don't know, Diego, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say briefly that all the activities that we do for this project are usually posted in Twitter. Just so if you want to take a look of how we do some of these 4 tasks that we continue working. But the main purpose, as we said it before, is just really connect these 2 classes. And they have been getting to a level of comfort and sharing culture, which is very important for our classes. So it's all about connecting our classes and being able to practice with students their own age. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So besides that, so we had some experience last year with the famous TikToker Callie, and she was someone that joined us once in one of our meetings. She is from the States, but she speaks really good Spanish, and she helped us at some point to encourage our students to join this project. Of course, we have working in a lot of growing opportunities of values, and they are offering a lot of help in. Not only that, but the magazine that was already produced or edited there, it was sent to our school as well. Well, that's a little bit more. That is a little bit what we have from our students. The happiness is all theirs. This is the way, the natural way. You can see they want to join the class, they want to talk to them. They are always like, where is the meeting, how it's gonna be, they get excited. As you can see, that day we were having some connection problems, and they tried to connect with them only by making some like hearts with their fingers, and we really enjoy about everything they do for free. I mean, in a freestyle, and they are not guided by us all the time by saying what you have to do or what you have or what you can say in this space. So the experience is really nice. We invite whoever who wants to join us, and thank you so much for your attention. If you have any question, just let us know.
Okay, thank you so much, Diego and Sandy, for taking part of this program with your experience with Abilene. We hope to have you here in next opportunity, helping us to make things better every day. Thank you so much. Okay, our next number in the program is a co-teaching experience. We are going to have a very big group. This group belongs to the Institución Educativa Julio César Turbay. And to begin, we are going to have our leaders, Juan Carlos Vargas. He's graduate in English, Spanish languages, and master degree in bilingual education. We also have Enid Jacqueline Chaparro, yes, also graduate in English, Spanish languages, specialist in media teaching, and in collaboration with Jimmy Fernando Roa. We also have Milena Vaquero Morales, English teacher, graduate in arts and science and languages, specialist in education and technology, and a master's degree in technology management. And in collaboration with her, Andrea Rolón. We also have a third team composed by Sandra Milena Martinez, graduate in philology and languages, master's degree in resources applied to education, in collaboration with Lisette Arevalo. That's all. Okay, please. Are you ready, colleagues?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would say hello for everybody, colleagues, and the rest of the people that is watching this today. I'm teacher Juan Carlos, and here I am with my colleague teacher Milena Vaquero. We are working in the high school of Julio César Turbay. We want to show you an experience that we are developing from this year. We expect this experiment, and this is a beginning of our next year. Let's say to have an evolution, and we want to complete it for a further work and experience for the school. As we listened this morning before, our colleague, our expert, Mario, he told us something about CLIL, and this is what we are working on. We are working on a co-teaching experience, teacher collaboration in CLIL. So we are using that methodology for teaching a foreign language or a second language. We are working on that. This is a pilot test, but the idea is to work in collaboration with other teachers from other classes, other subjects. But the idea is when we start to evaluate this experience at the end of this year and at the beginning of next year, we are going to propose to our school, to our principal and our Consejo Académico to approve that every single subject in our school, they have to apply 3 of these projects during the year. That is to say that 1 project for each term. We are in a trimestral program in our school. So We are doing this experiment this year because we want to do it official for the curriculum for next year. So 4 of us, we are like 8 teachers in our English team, but 4 of us, Juan Vargas, Jacqueline Chaparro, Sandra Martinez, and Milena Vaquero, we are trying to make the experiment this year. So the experiment is this one. Okay, I'm going to explain this, and I want my colleague to make a little sum up in Spanish for you, or for those who are watching that maybe don't understand completely in English. So if you want to make a little introduction, Milena.
Buenos días. Como lo dice mi compañero, es un trabajo que venimos realizando este año, es una prueba piloto. La idea es, como esta mañana nos compartía nuestro colega en la plenaria pues, que estábamos haciendo, es trabajar con CLIL, es Co-Teaching Teacher Collaboration in CLIL. Nuestro rector, el señor Gerardo Rodríguez, y en este momento en la prueba piloto estamos 4 docentes, que son Juan Carlos Vargas, Jacqueline Chaparro, Sandra Martínez y Milena Vaquero. La idea es enseñar el inglés, pero a la vez trabajarlo con las otras asignaturas, así logrando una transversalidad de las áreas. Y pues, como le decía también Juan Carlos, esta es una idea piloto, pero la idea es que el próximo año la podamos hacer con todas las áreas del currículo. Entonces, que por trimestre cada área trabaje con un docente de inglés y podamos dar un tema del plan de estudios en inglés.
Okay, yes. I'm going to explain the experience. So the idea for us is to try to make the students to get motivated to learn English. We want them to feel that English is not a difficult subject, and we want to sell the idea that English is very important for their professional and their life in general. So we consider the basic skills that the Ministry of Education proposed for us to develop in our classes or in our curriculum. We try to interact English with the other content, with the content of the other subjects. So we want English to be the channel or the mean to understand other concepts, other content. And this is why we get, or we understand that CLIL will be the best methodology for us to obtain better results in our internal and external tests, and also to improve the knowledge of language, but also the content of the other subjects. In the next slide, we have our objective. So it is that we want to strengthen the communication skill of the students in the foreign language English through a specific task that allow them to use the knowledge of different areas in real situations. That is, to make English, or to make the use of English in a natural way. So students can understand the importance of knowing English as a tool with a purpose. That is the idea. That is our objective. Milena.
Nuestro objetivo es fortalecer las habilidades comunicativas de los estudiantes a partir de diferentes tareas que buscan que les permitan llegar a un conocimiento en las diferentes áreas en situaciones reales, pero a través del inglés. Que el inglés sea una herramienta para aprender y para adquirir nuevos conocimientos.
Yes. So, as I told you, and coincidentally, this morning we listened to our invited expert Mario talking about CLIL. I just want to add to that information that Mario told us this morning that it is an innovative teaching approach. The concept of CLIL appeared more or less in 1994, but here in Colombia, we don't have so much or a lot of theory or experiences with CLIL, apart from private schools or private sector. But this is an innovative teaching approach. The idea is that content and language integrated learning, CLIL, that is the name. We want in state-run schools, so in public schools, contribute to governmental bilingual programs and to bridge the gap between the private and public education sector. This is our idea with this theory. So the use of CLIL is to integrate the other classes, the other subjects from our curriculum in our school, with English, with the language of the foreign language, to foster the use of the target language as a vehicle of communication without jeopardizing the use of a student's language, that is Spanish.
Como nos decía esta mañana el invitado, Mario, pues esta es un enfoque que, pues como lo dijo Juan Carlos, apareció en 1994, pero que en Colombia se ha trabajado poco, pues más en el sector privado. La idea es que se utilice una lengua diferente a la materna para formar en un conocimiento. Entonces, si se va a enseñar química, matemáticas, que se haga a través del inglés. De esta manera se está adquiriendo tanto el idioma inglés, el idioma extranjero, como un conocimiento de otra área del currículo.
Yes. So let's see some benefits of the use of CLIL in our classes. The idea is that, or the foundations of this theory, the use of CLIL, are in the interdisciplinary cross-curricular teaching. So if we see, or if we understand the curriculum as a whole, not breaking in parts, we will understand that it's better if we work together. So the idea is to provide a meaningful way in which students can use knowledge learned in one context as a knowledge base in other contexts. So we improve both the language knowledge, the language in the new language. We improve that, and we also improve the content for the other subjects. The idea is to use different strategies to work different skills, and also to make interdisciplinary experiences that are positive for other teachers, for the students, and for us English teachers. That's the idea.
Entre los beneficios de CLIL está la interdisciplinariedad o transversalidad, y lo más importante pues es desarrollar en los estudiantes un pensamiento crítico y un aprendizaje significativo a través de diferentes experiencias en donde ellos pues se vean motivados y activos en el proceso de aprender tanto el idioma como otras áreas.
Okay, so as I told you before, we are in a pilot test. The idea is to evaluate at the end of this year and at the beginning of the next this experience, to try to, so we want to create a serious research of this one And if we are able to establish this in 2023 in our official curriculum in the school, we would propose to every other class teacher apply at least, as I told you, one project of this experience every single term. So 3 projects for every single teacher for another subject in the school next year. That is our idea. So we have here 4 examples of experiences. The first one is mine, Juan Carlos Vargas, with the teacher Judith Agudelo from biology. So we worked together in minerals and rocks. About that is a topic from biology. So we try to recognize the concept of minerals and rocks, understand and explain the rock cycle at the end. The idea is the students to use vocabulary, to appropriate English to express the concepts and meanings of the basic topic, to actively participate in groups activities, recognizing English names, minerals, to make interdisciplinarity in the classroom by implementing new pedagogical strategies. And I love in this project that teacher who did, she's also learning a lot of English. She was afraid at the beginning, but she said like, okay, I don't know English, but I want to try it and let's do it. And we all are learning together. So the students, they read a text, then they explore all the vocabulary. Can you show us the evidences, please? So they read a text and then we scanning the text, then we work in the vocabulary, then we create some concepts, and then at the end they can choose if they present a mini model of the rock cycle or some rocks and minerals as they select. So we have here some evidences, and they presented to both teachers. We were both together in this process, working with the students and guiding in all the process to obtain at the end this product. Milena.
Como lo decíamos en un inicio, la idea es que el siguiente año, para el 2023, podamos trabajarlo con las diferentes áreas. Por este año, como era la prueba piloto, se realizaron 4 prácticas. La primera del profesor Juan Carlos con la profe Judith Agudelo del área de biología. Estas son las evidencias del trabajo que realizaron. Ellos trabajaron los minerales y el ciclo de las rocas. Entonces los estudiantes debían aprender el vocabulario, hicieron su propio ciclo y pues hicieron la exposición del mismo en inglés. Fue muy satisfactorio ver, porque aunque algunos de los docentes que apoyaron nuestro proyecto, o sea, de biología, de matemáticas y de física, aunque algunos no tenían los conocimientos en inglés, pues, y tenían un poco de miedo, nos apoyaron y al final aprendieron muchísimo. O sea, no solo hubo conocimiento por parte de los estudiantes, sino también de los docentes, porque unos tienen bases en inglés, pero otros no, pero aún así ellos también son unos aprendices en este proceso. Entonces, por eso queremos igual otra de las fortalezas del proyecto es que no se trabajó en un solo nivel, sino pues al estar varios docentes en el proceso se trabajaron en los diferentes niveles.
Yes, the next experience that we have is teacher Sandra Martinez and Liseta Arevalo from mathematics. They try to recognize geometric figures and their characteristics in English through previous knowledge in the subject of geometry. So they work a lot of vocabulary in geometry, measuring, and concepts related to math and geometry. So the students observe some geometry figures. The idea is that they try to understand, to name, and also to use that vocabulary of the specific subject, like lines, curves, equal, measuring, parallels. Okay, those things for geometry. And they developed some workshops from that subject, but in English, also with the guidance of the two teachers, and they use different material and elements of geometry to produce or to solve those mathematical problems.
La siguiente experiencia es la de las docentes Sandra Martínez de inglés y Lisset Arevalo de matemáticas. En este caso, pues estaban en una clase de geometría. La idea era pues dar a conocer a los estudiantes los conceptos de geometría. Trabajaron con material diseñado por los estudiantes, con hojas iris, con papel de colores. Y la idea también era que los estudiantes al final de esta clase pudieran usar términos como ángulos, líneas, paralelos, de las diferentes figuras geométricas. Entonces, pues quedó el aprendizaje significativo, ya que ellos realizaron su propio material al final y respondieron algunas preguntas que plantearon las docentes.
Yes, the third experience is teacher Jacqueline Chaparro from English and Fernando Roa from physics. Also the same, teacher Fernando, possibly most of you know him for the subdirectivo and those things. And he's, let's say, like a experiment teacher.
Bueno, en la siguiente experiencia encontramos a los docentes Jacqueline Chaparro y Fernando Roa, docente de física, en la cual en esta experiencia pues querían trabajar acerca del universo, de los elementos que se encuentran inmersos, y trabajaron en vocabulario que habían aprendido en la clase de física. La idea de este trabajo era que los estudiantes identificaran el vocabulario relacionado y pudieran crear su propio organizador gráfico. Entonces ya les voy a mostrar aquí las evidencias.
Remember that they use, they implement some TICS tools. Teacher Jacqueline were using Public, that is an application to make some mind organizers. And they use that to express some concepts for astronomy.
Entonces, como decíamos, los profes trabajaron la herramienta tecnológica y en esta, pues, dando a conocer algunos conceptos del universo y de astronomía.
Okay, and that's the final experience from teacher Milena Vaquero that is here with us, and Andrea Rolón from math. They work the natural numbers operations with the help of English with the students of 8th grade. They are from 8th grade?
Yes.
The 8th graders, yes. They plan a diagnostic to discover some mathematical concepts. Then they make a construction of concepts, and at the end they observe how they develop those mathematical problems. Yes, it's like that?
Sí, en esta propuesta pues buscamos fortalecer las operaciones básicas de los números naturales Entonces se trabajó en 4 etapas. En la primera se hizo un diagnóstico acerca pues, de las dificultades. En la siguiente se planeó la construcción de una propuesta. En la tercera se llevó a la práctica esta propuesta y en la cuarta se hizo una retroalimentación y una evaluación para ver las mejoras que se pueden hacer al trabajo. Aquí presentamos algunas de las evidencias. Y por último, pues tenemos también una experiencia que se realizó con las 2 docentes de inglés, Sandra Martínez y Milena Vaquero, en la cual no se integró con otra área del conocimiento, sino se integraron estudiantes de 2 niveles diferentes, 8º y 9º. Entonces, la idea en esta propuesta era que los estudiantes primero sacarlos de su zona de confort, entonces que ellos trabajaran con pares de otros niveles y desarrollar las 4 habilidades de inglés. Y pues se trabajaron actividades lúdicas para que los estudiantes pudieran participar y fuera de una manera comunicativa.
Yes, we have here some bibliography, and also we would like to say that this is the beginning of a big, huge research that is coming for us. We are planning to develop this research at least 1 or 2 years more. This could be even PhD research for some of us. So we are in this process. As one of our experts this morning said, we are making these baby steps. So we are trying to develop this. And here we have a just sample of one of our students explaining their experience in biology. Finally.
There are 2 types, igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. All of these rocks can change. In fact, any rock can change to become any other kind of rocks. This usually happens very slowly.
Y como pues lo decía mi compañero, este es el inicio de un gran proyecto que queremos seguir realizando y pues seguir compartiendo con los demás docentes de la institución y del municipio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. A very good explanation. Don't forget, all of our colleagues, this program is being recorded, so you can get it whenever you want. Okay, thank you so much. I hope
Thanks
to
to
see
you.
you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you for
my
having
friends.
us. Okay.
Thank you so much. Next, second to last, the experience in representation of General Santander. The name of the experience, Platform to Interact with English. And our leaders are Vivian Andrea Sanabria Poveda, graduate in English and Spanish, studied at la Universidad Pedagógica, and she's a specialist and master's degree in teaching by means of CIT from Universidad San Buenaventura. English teacher for the last 8 years. Since 2018, she's working in General Santander in Soacha. Claudia Rojas, also graduate in basic education with emphasis in English and Spanish. She comes from Universidad Francisco José de Caldas, Universidad Distrital, specialist and master's degree in teaching from Universidad San Buenaventura. Nowadays, she's an English teacher in General Santander and ILUD, you know, that Language Institute of the Distrital Francisco José de Caldas University. And with them, Camilo Daza. He comes from the Universidad Pedagógica Nacional, specialist and magisters in teaching by means of the CIT from Universidad San Buenaventura. English teacher for the last 6 years, and since 2016, he works as a teacher in General Santander in Soacha. Please, Baris, we are all ears. Continue, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Our project is called PI, Platform to Interact with English. This is a collaborative project with the students of General Santander School. Our principal is William de Jesus Montoya, Henao, and this project helped to 55 students in 9th grade in our school. This project was developed by the teachers Ángela Geraldine Duarte from Popayán, Claudia Rojas, and Viviana Sanabria, who are English teachers, and my colleague Camilo Daza, who is the arts teacher in the school, in order to get a master's degree in docencia mediada por las TIC. But today, taking into account this is an interdisciplinary project, we are going to present it in Spanish, okay?
Muy buenos días, muy buenas tardes. Esta investigación surge al identificar en la institución en la que elaboramos los bajos niveles de dominio del idioma inglés en 9º grado, teniendo en cuenta los estándares establecidos por el Marco Común Europeo, los cuales son adoptados por el Programa Nacional de Bilingüismo y el ITFES. Esto a su vez nos llevó a la formulación de la siguiente pregunta de investigación. ¿Cuáles son los efectos en la habilidad lectora de la lengua extranjera inglés luego el desarrollo e implementación de una estrategia didáctica colaborativa y mediada por las TIC? Esto para responder al siguiente, digamos que para responder a este interrogante, pues nos planteamos el siguiente objetivo: mejorar la habilidad lectora de la lengua extranjera inglés a partir del desarrollo e implementación de una estrategia didáctica colaborativa y mediada por las TIC. Y con estas metas concretas nos planteamos los siguientes objetivos específicos. El primero, caracterizar a los estudiantes de grado 9 mediante un examen clasificatorio que evalúe el nivel de comprensión lectora en inglés. El segundo, implementar la estrategia didáctica de trabajo colaborativo de una plataforma educativa orientada al fortalecimiento de la habilidad lectora en inglés. El tercero, contrastar el nivel de comprensión lectora de la lengua extranjera inglés de los participantes y posterior a esto, a la implementación del proyecto de investigación. Y por último, establecer el potencial de modelos pedagógicos colaborativos mediados por las TIC. Con base a lo anterior, nuestro proyecto investigativo se fundamenta en los aportes de importantes autores que permiten sustentar la investigación y comprender el enfoque desde el cual como investigadores partimos para describir las categorías fundamentales que permiten abordar la problemática y dar solución a ella. En primer lugar, y solo para mencionar algunos de los conceptos de Zambrano, Noguera, Pardo, Díaz, frente a la didáctica, la pedagogía, la enseñanza, el aprendizaje del inglés y la comprensión de textos y su incidencia en la enseñanza de la lengua extranjera inglés, especialmente en la habilidad de lectura, junto con los estándares básicos de competencia de acuerdo al Ministerio de Educación Nacional y sobre los que se sustenta el Programa Nacional de Bilingüismo, nos permitieron reconocer que gracias a la lectura los alumnos repasan los sonidos y la grafía, el vocabulario y la gramática, fijan la ortografía y el significado de palabras y frases y en general mejoran su competencia comunicativa en la lengua extranjera. Asimismo, en cuanto a los modelos de aprendizaje basado en proyectos, el aprendizaje colaborativo y el ABPC, aprendizaje basado en proyectos colaborativos, se ha desarrollado la estrategia didáctica y así pues resaltamos que el empleo de este modelo en las prácticas educativas nos permitieron que el estudiante fuera responsable de su aprendizaje al planificar y diseñar, junto con sus profesores, estrategias y metodologías colaborativas. Finalmente, en la categoría de apropiación de las TIC, nos permitieron acceder al conocimiento frente a las tecnologías informáticas y de la comunicación como un recurso didáctico que genere posibilidades educativas donde los recursos digitales, las plataformas educativas web y el uso e impacto de las TIC son referentes para el aprendizaje de la lengua extranjera inglés empleando herramientas tecnológicas.
Bien, en cuanto a la metodología de nuestro proyecto, esta se basó en un diseño de investigación que se consolidó a través de la investigación-acción e investigación mixta. Por lo tanto, pues vamos a conocer la fundamentación de este proyecto, como lo decía mi compañero, desde 3 categorías de análisis, dirigidas principalmente al aprendizaje de la lengua extranjera inglés en relación con el marco común europeo y todos los estándares pues, que este nos sugiere. Además de su componente intercultural, el trabajo colaborativo mediado por el modelo ABPC, que involucra aspectos relevantes de la didáctica y la pedagogía y la apropiación de las TIC. Ahora bien, con base en este marco teórico, nosotros propusimos 5 fases diferentes de trabajo. La primera fase, como lo pueden ver, es la fase de planificación, la siguiente es la fase de diseño, la fase de desarrollo y la fase de producción junto a la de evaluación. También en nuestra propuesta fue pensada bajo el modelo ADI. Este es un diseño instruccional empleado en la enseñanza mediada por la tecnología, sobre el cual pues trabajamos toda nuestra propuesta y está definido en 5 fases. Está la fase del análisis, el diseño, el desarrollo, la implementación y la evaluación. Además, para este diseño contamos con un grupo de trabajo integrado por estudiantes de grado 9º de la institución, quienes se encontraban en el nivel intermedio de su formación escolar y decidieron participar en el desarrollo del proyecto de manera voluntaria. Aquí es necesario aclarar y pues queremos hacer énfasis que en cada una de estas fases la participación de los estudiantes fue fundamental para que tuviera éxito el proyecto, pues ya que trabajamos colaborativamente con 2 grupos. Uno de esos grupos fue el grupo experimental, conformado por estudiantes de grado de 902, quienes se encargaron de toda la creación de la plataforma digital como estrategia central, más adelante lo verán. Y también el grupo de control, conformado por estudiantes de 904, quienes fueron los usuarios de esa plataforma digital. Igualmente nos basamos en un tipo de investigación mixta, ya que el proceso, pues todo el proceso de recolección, de análisis y vinculación de datos, tanto cuantitativos como cualitativos, nos permite responder pues al objetivo que nos trazamos en un principio. Por lo tanto, aquí decidimos trabajar con las siguientes técnicas e instrumentos de recolección de datos que en realidad fueron de gran aporte para poder llevar un muy buen control en todo el proceso de nuestro proyecto. Entonces, la primera técnica de instrumento de recolección fue el focus group. Cami, si me haces el favor, pasas la diapositiva. Seguimos con el placement and post-test. Este placement and post-test pues se aplicó, pues como el nombre lo indica, al inicio y al fin, al inicio de la propuesta y al final, es una vez aplicado todos los instrumentos y una vez realizado pues todo el proceso. Este placement test and post-test se realizó o se realizaron con base en la estructura propuesta en la prueba saber, la cual cuenta con 7 secciones, cada una dirigida pues a distintos tipos de conocimiento. También tuvimos en cuenta la observación participativa y la encuesta de satisfacción aplicada pues al grupo de control.
Bueno, con base al sustento teórico y la implementación metodológica del proyecto, es posible establecer el análisis de los resultados en 3 categorías. En primer lugar, en relación a la habilidad lectora en la lengua extranjera inglés, se establece la adquisición de vocabulario como principal estrategia pedagógica, puesto que los estudiantes expresan que realizar actividades orientadas al aprendizaje de términos específicos permitan la construcción de significados de los textos. Adicionalmente, la adquisición de vocabulario con base a las temáticas de eventos y celebraciones de Colombia y Estados Unidos nos permitió hacer uso de la lengua en un contexto real. Ello evidencia la relevancia del contenido, fomentando que los estudiantes conozcan aspectos propios de la cultura y se motiven en relación con el proceso de aprendizaje. Ahora bien, el examen de clasificación en la fase inicial presenta que los 2 grupos participantes clasifican en el nivel A1 en promedio sin variables considerables entre los dos grupos. El examen de post-test aplicado luego de la implementación de la estrategia implica que ambos grupos, experimental y de control, mejoran y avanzan al nivel A2 de inglés. Sin embargo, el grupo experimental presenta un mayor incremento desde los niveles inferiores. De esta manera, en comparación, en ambos grupos hubo mejoría en relación con el nivel de comprensión de lectura en la lengua extranjera inglés. Asimismo, presentaron mejoría en relación con la apropiación de estructuras gramaticales. Sin embargo, presentaron falencias con respecto a la lectura inferencial. La segunda categoría de análisis sobre el trabajo colaborativo, con base en la observación participativa, demuestra que el modelo pedagógico de proyectos motivó la participación reflexiva y crítica de los estudiantes, destacando aciertos y dificultades del trabajo individual, colectivo, lo que les permitió evaluar sus conocimientos, modos de actuar, pensar y sentir. De esta manera se evidencia que los estudiantes lograron adquirir habilidades del siglo XXI, tales como el estudio autónomo, la búsqueda de información, la elaboración de presentaciones, el trabajo en equipo, la autonomía y la planificación del tiempo y la capacidad de expresarse de manera asertiva. La tercera categoría, en relación con las TIC, sugiere que los estudiantes presentaron un proceso avanzado en el uso de diversas herramientas online para la creación de recursos didácticos como infografías, encuestas, entre otros. Además, comprendieron los modos de integrar estos contenidos a plataformas LMS como Classroom, lograron mejorar sus competencias para la gestión y administración de los archivos digitales, lograron filtrar la información de Internet de manera eficiente, citando la fuente y adquirieron la capacidad de sintetizar y esquematizar, además de presentar dichas instrucciones de forma clara y sencilla, utilizando el idioma inglés, para que estos fueran entendibles para los usuarios de los contenidos. Los productos que presentamos a continuación son el resultado de las experiencias vividas a lo largo de este trabajo de campo, muchos de ellos creados por los estudiantes de la mano de los investigadores, los cuales nos permitieron ampliar el alcance de la intervención. La totalidad de los productos audiovisuales se encuentran integrados en la página web del proyecto, la cual estructura los aprendizajes a través de Classroom, a través de templates de acceso libres para los demás profesores que quieran acceder a ellos, los cuales se enlazan a su vez a contenidos dispuestos en múltiples plataformas educativas multimediales como son EducaPlay, WordWall, Genially, LibWorship, entre otros. A partir de un esquema de intervención, buscábamos también integrar principios transmedia y proponer una narrativa con la cual potenciar la incidencia de cada una de estas acciones desarrolladas. Uno de los productos que mayor incidencia tuvo en este proceso es nuestro video de presentación, con el cual hemos podido consolidar una línea gráfica y además de esto un eslogan de muy fácil recordación que se los voy a compartir a continuación, y es este de acá.
Hello, Cutie Pies. Bienvenidos a este recorrido a través de la plataforma Pi. Te invitamos a conocer un poco más sobre este proyecto investigativo para el aprendizaje del inglés. Empecemos. Platform to Interact with English, o PI, es una plataforma virtual que se ha diseñado con los estudiantes de grado noveno de la Institución Educativa General Santander con el fin de fortalecer el aprendizaje de la lengua extranjera inglés, principalmente la competencia de lectura, y a su vez afianza las habilidades del siglo XXI, logrando posicionar el universo PI como una herramienta digital integrada con material pedagógico que dinamiza los procesos de aprendizaje en nuestra institución.
PI se desarrolla en dos fases. En primer lugar, a partir del trabajo colaborativo como estrategia didáctica, en donde los estudiantes de grado noveno de la institución diseñan material pedagógico atractivo teniendo en cuenta los gustos e intereses propios de su edad. Luego, durante la segunda fase, estos mismos participantes son los encargados de desarrollar de manera digital el contenido e integrarlo como repositorio en la plataforma Classroom, y que de esta manera puede ser empleado sin restricción por todo aquel que lo requiera. Es decir, que estudiantes como tú son creadores del contenido, líderes de su propio proceso de aprendizaje y have a finger in every pie.
En PAI conocerás y aprenderás sobre algunas de las más importantes festividades culturales llevadas a cabo en diversos lugares de nuestro país, como en países de habla inglesa durante todo el año. Por ejemplo, sabrás sobre el origen de las celebraciones internacionales, tales como el Día de San Valentín, llevada a cabo en el mes de febrero. Conocerás la historia de Martin Luther King, un hombre que luchó por los derechos civiles en contra del racismo. Y aprenderás sobre los principales eventos de patrimonio intangible de la humanidad, tales como el Carnaval de Blancos y Negros, la Feria de las Flores y la Batalla de Boyacá, entre muchos otros. Además de integrar contenidos llamativos para los estudiantes, motivando el proceso de aprendizaje, la plataforma PAI está pensada en afianzar las 4 habilidades propias de la lengua extranjera inglés, con base estrategias de lectura. De esta manera, PAI se estructura en las siguientes secciones de aprendizaje amigable a través de plataformas didácticas multimediales.
En primer lugar, a través de las vocabulario task, reconoces el contenido intercultural en situaciones comunicativas a partir del reconocimiento de palabras con base a estrategias de asociación de imágenes, organización y repetición.
Asimismo, a partir de las language tags, te acercamos a la comprensión, uso y función de elementos propios del aprendizaje de la lengua extranjera inglés. Esta tarea se basa en aspectos gramatical y se ejecuta a partir de actividades relacionadas con ejercicios de verdadero y falso, selección múltiple, completar espacios, entre otros.
Por medio de las Writing Tasks, tendrás la oportunidad de encontrar actividades relacionadas con la elaboración de pósters, cartas, postales, además de la creación de historietas, narraciones cortas, entre otras, permitiendo el desarrollo de la habilidad de escritura y la competencia comunicativa.
Desde la Reading Task, se sugiere el pre-reading para identificar el tema del texto haciendo énfasis en el nivel inferencial de lectura, el white reading reconociendo la idea principal y aspectos importantes de la narración, fomentando una interpretación literal del texto, y el after reading en el cual se da cuenta del nivel crítico del estudiante.
Finalmente, las Speaking Tasks están relacionadas con ejercicios prácticos del idioma. La importancia de estas actividades radica en que son una oportunidad de preparación, práctica y ensayo del uso de la lengua en la vida real. PAI aporta tu aprendizaje del inglés. PAI as American as a PAI.
Bueno, como pudieron observar, es un poco de todo lo que logramos hacer con nuestros estudiantes. Lo recopilamos, pues, los 4 investigadores del proyecto. Sin embargo, pues, todo el material y todo lo observado ahí es realizado por ellos. Bueno, y en cuanto a las conclusiones, logramos identificar que para el fortalecimiento del aprendizaje del idioma inglés es propicio hacer que los estudiantes participen en todo el proceso de enseñanza desde aspectos como pues, la planeación, la elaboración, la implementación y la evaluación de contenidos educativos mediante el trabajo colaborativo con todos sus compañeros. Asimismo, en relación con nuestro objetivo principal, sugerimos que es posible impactar los niveles de comprensión lectora en la lengua extranjera inglés de manera positiva, en la cual brindamos a los estudiantes estrategias y didácticas educativas, las cuales transformaron de alguna manera sus hábitos de estudio a partir de prácticas de lectura, que fortalecieron todo el proceso de comprensión de textos en los 3 niveles. También en segundo lugar, reconocemos nuestro modelo ABPC como metodología motivadora que conllevó al fortalecimiento del aprendizaje colaborativo y el desarrollo de un pensamiento crítico y propositivo por parte de nuestros estudiantes. Asimismo, este modelo pedagógico contribuyó en gran medida a la adquisición de habilidades propias del siglo XXI. En tercer lugar, como conclusión, también tenemos que la apropiación de las TIC pues se fortaleció en gran medida, ya que las estrategias pedagógicas y todos los recursos didácticos en las prácticas educativas lograron que los estudiantes no solamente llegaran al conocimiento de una disciplina, sino también a la destreza y al uso o al buen uso de todas las herramientas tecnológicas y todos aquellos recursos digitales pues, que usamos en todo el proceso. Ellos se involucraron asertivamente en su proceso de aprendizaje y pues logramos un gran alcance en mejorar la lengua extranjera inglés. Además, pues también queremos resaltar la pertinencia de nuestra propuesta porque fue una gran estrategia dentro del currículo del área de inglés, ya que se logró establecer un modelo de enseñanza que estimuló el interés y la participación de nuestros estudiantes frente a su proceso de aprendizaje, el cual pues lo llevó a mejorar y a desarrollar pues las habilidades del inglés. Adicionalmente, pues nosotros como docentes logramos fortalecer nuestras prácticas pedagógicas, generando ambientes de aprendizajes diferentes, innovadores, desde un contexto real, ya que pues las temáticas estaban relacionadas con festividades y pues mediante herramientas digitales orientadas por la didáctica de la enseñanza de un idioma extranjero. Finalmente, queremos resaltar pues, que esa estrategia didáctica colaborativa logró trascender el escenario del aula de clase, ya que tuvimos la oportunidad de participar en el Foro Educativo Municipal de Soacha el año pasado, el 2021, sobre aprendizajes y desafíos de la nueva realidad educativa, ganando en ese momento el primer lugar por comuna y así pues brindando la oportunidad a otras instituciones educativas de conocer nuestro proyecto y entenderlo como una estrategia pedagógica que también dio paso a ese trabajo interdisciplinar, ya que contábamos con la participación del profe Camilo, interinstitucional con la profe que vive en Popayán. Y esto pues logró fortalecer los procesos de enseñanza-aprendizaje en nuestro ámbito educativo. Y pues de esta manera presentamos nuestra propuesta didáctica PAI. Esperamos pues que haya sido de su agrado. Thank you very much.
Los colegas, con algunos de los cuales ya había interactuado en ocasiones pasadas. Un abrazo muy grande, gracias por su colaboración. La municipalidad les agradece en el alma. No se les olvide que el cambio avanza. Entonces, con esto damos por finalizada hoy nuestra primera actividad de la Semana del Inglés en Soacha, no sin antes recordarles que mañana tenemos cine. Entonces, esperamos encontrarnos allá en el Teatro Ciudad a partir de las 10 de la mañana. Entonces, por mi parte, un agradecimiento, un fuerte abrazo a todos los colegas y esperamos seguir el rumbo que nos hemos trazado con nuestra Soacha bilingüe. Un abrazo grande para todos y un feliz día. Muchas gracias.